This season of Love is Blind is absolutely freaking wild, Watchaholics. I just can't believe what just happened in these last 3 episodes. Like, it is absolutely wild. I think might be one of the wildest seasons. I don't know if you agree with me, but just comment down below the word wild if you agree with what I'm saying, because my God, the amount of ridiculous garbage behavior I saw in these in these last 3 episodes, astonishing. So let's get straight into it. Let's start off. I'm going to do the recap. Again, when we're doing these like really long 7 through 9, I'm not doing scene for scene because we will be here for like 3 hours with me talking about like they went go-karting. They went on a horseback ride. Who cares about that? Let's talk about the juice. Let's talk about the juicy stuff that happened. So let's start off with Kenneth and Brittany, because my God.
What the fuck happened?
Hey! Guys, if you saw my face, my mouth dropped with the sudden realization that this couple was not going to make it to the aisle. Like, I was shooketh, because in the pods, I was like, oh, for sure. Oh my God. They both love the Lord. They're both aligned. When they saw each other, they seemed like they were very mature. That first night when he's like, let's talk about our feelings. Yeah, that was a one-time episode thing, because this episode... These three episodes, or actually, I guess only 7 and 8, because in episode 8, it was pretty much the end of their relationship. So, yeah, pretty absolutely ridiculous. We follow Kenneth and Brittany in DR. A couple of days, I know everyone's kind of doing this, right? And there's this one scene when they are on a yacht together and they are talking. And then all of a sudden, it is just dead silent. I mean, the production, the producers, I mean, you guys are so good at doing this, because it was just foreshadowing what was to come. It was foreshadowing. But it was just silent, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like, why aren't they talking? Like, but the weird part was that, like, it didn't look like it bothered him, but it looked like it bothered Brittany, because she was, like, trying to understand, like, okay, like, you can see it in her face that she's like, okay, why isn't he talking to me? Like, what's going on here? What's happening? And... then they pass dolphins, and the shocking thing is that dolphins is what makes him actually want to have a conversation, and I found that astonishing. I'm like, you realize you've been outside of these pods for like a couple of days now, and you've asked this person to marry you, and you've just seen them. You would think that you would be like ravaging this person, or like wanting to talk about everything and like be very close and just talk and talk and talk, and it just seems like there's no talking here and there's no touching happening. Any touching of any kind. But Brittany does bring up to him, they're sitting on they're laying now on the yacht after they've had their conversation about dolphins. Who knew? And she's like, hey, like, I don't mind if you, like, touch me more, like more physical touch. And he's like, oh, well, that's weird. I would never heard that from everyone. Everyone just says I'm overly touchy. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, have they edited this to the point where they're not showing it? Because this man seems over it. Like, at this point in the episode, it's only like episode 7, and he just seems so over this relationship. It's astonishing. And the more astonishing fact is that he's kind of making her seem crazy for being like, hey, like, I'd like a little bit more physical touch. I feel like something's off, or like, I don't know. I actually really like it. And then he's telling her that she's like, what? No, that's crazy. Like, no one would ever say that. I'm like super overly touchy. And he's like, but okay, if you say so. And I'm like, sir, are you doing the G word? Are you doing the G word? Oh, yeah. Is that what's happening here? Because it was absolutely astonishing how out of touch, how uninterested he was in talking to her or hugging her or kissing her or doing anything. And later we find out that they had never even made out, and it had been like over a week. And I was like, you guys haven't even made out? Like, that's usually what people are doing, like, for days, because they haven't been able to, and they're so attracted to this person and want to be with them. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how awkward it was. But then we get into the real world, and y'all, this is when it really, really started to set in. And let me know in a comment below if you expected this from this couple, because I really did not. But they finally move into the homes, which, by the way, can we talk about the townhomes that they have put these people in? I think some of the nicest, like, these are like 2-floored, like, these are really, really nice apartments. I'm like, okay, South Carolina, I see you. Okay, Love is Blind, I see you. Really nice townhomes, I gotta say, this season. But anyway, we go back to Brittany and Ken moving into the apartment, and Brittany's like all excited. She's like unpacking. She's like putting her stuff away. And this man has gotten his phone now. Remember, now we're in the real world, so everyone's allowed to have their phones again. And this man is so invested in his phone that he doesn't even answer her or talk to her while she's doing her stuff. He's like, "Hey, like, yeah, I'm just doing an email." And granted, we all should show grace for everyone, right? We should all be giving each other grace when we get back from not being on our phones for weeks, right? Especially him. He's a principal. You would think there's a lot going on, right? Okay, I have to get to my work emails. I've missed a lot. These people have missed like a couple of weeks of work. So it's understandable that everyone's like, okay, I got to jump back into work. I got to get paid, right? But yeah, no, this man just seems like uninterested in doing anything. And she's like, she literally asks him, like, "Oh, what side do you want?" And he's like, "I don't care." Yeah. Doesn't even look up at her. And then he's just like, I'm going to go chill out for a second. Literally leaves the room and goes downstairs to the couch to be on his phone more. I was like, sir.
The cheek, the nerve, the gall, the audacity, and the gumption.
Yes, the disrespect. Oh my God, the disrespect. Which then brings me into like the next portion, which is her visiting his apartment. Which, granted, guys, I don't know how this man survived. He had like orange juice in his kitchen. He had two types of spices and maybe some maple syrup in his whole kitchen. I was like, I mean, I know you're 25 and I know you're a principal, but do you not eat? Do you not, did you just move in before you left? Like, why does this kitchen look like this? It was pretty astonishing. But then he sits on the couch and she decides to bring to him, like, because I think he asked her, like, how she's feeling. And she tells him, like, "Hey, I'm just feeling like you're being a little bit distant, or I feel that, you know, you're not as close as you were to me in Dominican Republic. Like, what's going on?" And this man has the audacity to continue to be on his phone and not even look this girl in the face while she's talking to him about something that is garbage. I did not see this coming from Kenneth. I really did not see it coming, but it was so disrespectful to her. She's literally like, and it only continues. She's always pouring out her heart to him, and he just continues to look at his phone and then kind of, I hate to say it, gaslight her. It's really all on her. It's not him. Like, "Oh, I'm fine." Really? You're fine? I mean, your actions aren't matching your words here, so I'm very confused. But he is just telling her, like, "Oh, no, I'm fine. Like, I need some grace. You know, is it going to be a big deal that, like, I want to have, like, you know, time where I don't talk to you and I'm just on my phone? Like, this isn't every day." Like, kind of, like, jabs at her a little bit, like, being like, "Oh, no, sweetie, like, you have to give me grace." And it's like, well, sir, like, I can understand if you've been in a relationship now with someone for a while, maybe even a year or 6 months. You know, you've been dating. You know each other. You understand that when someone needs their time alone, right? Like, I get that. But you've known this person for possibly a week, and you expect them to, and you think it's normal that you don't want to give all of your attention to that person? This is supposed to be the honeymoon phase. This is literally the phase where everybody's like, everything's perfect and wonderful and I love everything about him. That doesn't seem to happening because you're not even talking to your wife-to-be. So, yeah, I call BS. BS. And then we move on into the most shocking part of this episode, which was the breakup. Yes, spoiler alert, they broke up. If you didn't know, they didn't make it past, I think it's episode 8. Is it episode 8? Let me look it up in my notes. They break up in episode 8. And the way that this starts, this man, he's eating takeout food and he's got his phone. And you have Brittany being like, "Hey, you haven't been home. Is everything okay?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. Like, you know, I just had a long work day." Eating his phone, eating his food. And then she's like, "You know, you woke me up at like 1 a.m. He's just like, "Yeah, I know." And then she proceeds to tell him, "Hey, by the way, I'm having issues connecting with you. You know, I thought that by now there would be more of like this crave to want to, like, you know, be with, like a crave to like be passionate, basically to like want him, and she's not feeling that. And I think the problem she's not feeling it is because he's not putting any effort to make her feel that way or to make something happen, because he's so distant from her and so nonchalant and really just does not give a F about their relationship at this point, that it's making her be like, okay, well, what am I investing in? Because this person's not investing anything, and it's just making them disconnected, and it's making her feel like, well, I want to be able to, she uses the word crave, which is like she wants to crave to be with him. And she's like, I'm not saying that I want to have sex, but like I want to even at least be wanting to possibly get to a point where I want to have sex, but I'm not feeling that right now. And this man, the garbage behavior tells her, oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine. Like I definitely want to be with you, But if it's okay if you don't feel that, that's a you thing. I was like, all right, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, hell no!
I'm sorry, what? What? Yeah, yeah. I thought that was absolutely astonishing. I was shooketh. My mouth, I think, was dropped for like a good solid couple minutes because I just couldn't believe that he said that. He's like, oh no, like it's not me. Like I feel everything. If you don't feel it, then that's on you. That's pretty much what he said. Sir, have you not been looking at yourself or seeing the way that you're acting? And this is my favorite, is that he said he was making time to be cuddly with her and be with her at 1 a.m. when he woke her up when she has to go to work at 5. And she's like, you realize you woke me up at like 1 a.m. and I have to work at 5. He's just like, yeah, but like, I was trying to have a connection with you. And it's like, sir, no, that's not how this works. And guys, the worst part was the actual breakup. She's literally sobbing. And he's just there eating his food. Like he does not have any sort of emotion, any sort of regard, any sense of care or loss or sadness about this relationship. Because it's kind of like he just knew like it wasn't working. But instead of like having a conversation about how it wasn't working for both of them, he kind of just made it seem like it was just her. And he was like, well, God has a plan for us. And, this might just be it. He's like, but let's hug it out. There's love. There's only love here. Literally hugs her, goes back, sits down, sips his drink, and goes back to his phone. And this girl is sobbing at the table. And he's just like, oh, let's just hug it out. Everything's fine.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Like, it's just acknowledged, obviously, that they've broken up. But the fact that he says, oh, let's hug it out. Let's hug it out. It's fine. God has a purpose for me. And I understand that that's where I end up is where I end up. I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. The girl then Brittany ends up sitting to the couch, sobbing, and he just goes upstairs, and you overhear him, like, calling his friend, being like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring my stuff. Literally, he was probably texting him while she was breaking up, or it just seems like he knew they were gonna break up, so while they were breaking up, he was texting his friend, being like, hey, I think me and Britt are breaking up, so can I come back? Can I come around in about 10 minutes? I just could not believe how that relationship ended and how it just escalated from it being literally the first night, Brittany, I want us to like talk it out every night. How are we feeling? What can I do differently for you? How can I be there for you? Let's talk it out. And she's like, yes. Like there was so much to let's move back into the home, and then just completely disregards this relationship, completely disregards her, does not give a shit about their relationship, and is just like, all right, bye. See ya. Horrible. I'm so frustrated by him. But then let's move into another couple, Amy and Johnny. Honestly, out of every couple here, I feel like they are probably the only ones that possibly have a chance of getting married. I mean, all in Dominican Republic, they were smooth sailing, didn't see any issues, no fights, no nothings. They were just, the main thing they talked about was while they were in DR was the fact that they haven't fought yet, and they would like to have a fight before they get married because they want to see like how they would handle situations before they got married. Understandable, because right now, obviously, everyone is supposed to be in honeymoon phase, even though there's a million of these couples already fighting. But you know what I mean? Like, I understood where they were coming from. The main thing here with them as a couple that will make it or break it is the idea that Johnny is terrified And I mean, deathly terrified of having a child, like a surprise kid, basically. And he really wants her to be on birth control. And she says that she's not sure if she wants to be on birth control because she's never been on it. She's anemic and she doesn't know how it's going to affect her body and all of these things. Now, granted, he can't tell her what to do with her body. And but then she also has to understand, like, his perspective, which understandably so. I mean, I've never been on birth control. Well, that's a lie. I have been on birth control way, 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 way back. But for the most part, I think, I mean, no sort of contraception is 100% effective unless you're not having sex. That's, at the end of the day, that's how it is, right? But this man, I swear, I think he must have had like a pregnancy scare in his life. Like, he's not talking about it, but I have a feeling that this man has had a pregnancy scare with somebody because they're not having sex at all until she goes on birth control or figures it out. And I find that crazy. It's like, wow, you are holding back so bad that like you won't even have sex with a condom. Like, at least you're wearing a condom. Like, but he is like terrified. He's like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to have sex unless you're on birth control. And it's like, oh. And then she says, okay, well, why does it have to be me? Why can't you do something about your body? Like, they're talking about how she's told him, like, oh, well, maybe you should get a vasectomy. Like, why does it have to be me? And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. These are two very different things. Having a vasectomy and going on birth control are two very different things that will be going on in your body. Like, a vasectomy is like a full-on surgery. I don't think he should be going on a surgery situation just so that they don't have a kid. And also, I feel like, yeah, I think with men, I think it's pretty easy to kind of like do it but then undo it. But then also it's like, that means you have to have surgery twice. There's a recovery period. Like, there's so much more to a vasectomy than it is to like just get on a pill, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Comment down below if I don't know something. But the way I think of it, I'm like, surgery, take a pill. Now, no one should force the other person to do anything, so I understand it's a sticky situation because I understand both sides. I don't know how they're going to resolve it, but that seems to be the big like factor here on if or if not they will have sex. If or if not they will say yes. But other than that, they are pretty smooth sailing. I mean, they had the cutest scene ever. They go to like learn a dance and he's like, I want to learn bachata. And something about watching white men dance bachata who don't dance is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. It's just like seeing them like move their hips. I'm a Dominican and Puerto Rican, so like I'm I'm Latin. I have that. I know how to dance bachata. But whenever I see a white man learning how to dance bachata, it is hilarious. So hilariously cute, and I'm just like, oh my god, bless. They're learning. Oh my god, look at them move their little feet. It's just watching him. It was just the cutest thing ever. But yeah, they meet his family. I think they meet both of his sisters and one of the sisters' fiance. They come over to the house, and out of all the family meetings, it was the most successful one. Everyone was happy for them. Everyone could see the connection. They didn't bring each other down or talk down to each other or talk about their outside issues like almost every other couple did, which, my God, we'll get into it. But they were just themselves, and everyone was very accepting and loving, and no one had anything bad to say. Like, it was just so cute, and I just hope that they freaking make it, and I hope they figure it out. I mean, in my opinion, I think the best way to kind of go by this is just be like, okay, you know what? I will try the birth control, and then if there is an issue with that, or if something happens and it's affecting me or whatever, then you would go into, okay, well, what can we do next? But I think if I were her, I probably would have been like, okay, fine, like, let me just try it. And if it's not for me, then we need to figure out something else. And there we go. That would be that's what I would do if I were her. But I'm not Amy. So let's move into our third couple, which I want Laura and Jeramey, another shit show. Fire. And will it be put out? I don't know, but my God, that house is on fire, and the house is Laura and Jeramey. Okay, so as we remember in the last episode, Jeramey kind of had this moment with AD, with the bean dip thing. It was very uncomfortable, whatever. We move on to the next morning in episode 7, and Jeremy's like, oh, I absolutely apologize. I shouldn't have acted that way that night when I didn't talk to you and slept on the couch. Like, that was so immature of me, and I never should have acted like that. And then Laura's just like, well, like, you triggered me. And okay, guys, that whole thing was bad on both ends. And the fact that, like, she just, like, blamed him and made everything about him, not right. Because she should not even be joking about that with him and telling him, like, oh, you should go do this to AD. Like, she didn't take, or I don't think, responsibility for what she had done in this. And the fact that she kind of just, like, threw it on him, and then he was just like, okay, yeah, you're right, I'll apologize. Granted, there was a lot of garbage behavior yet again later on, which I'll get into here shortly. But yeah, they pretty much, he apologizes. And I think he apologizes, to be honest, to save face, because he's like, okay, well, let me just I don't want to make this worse, so I'm just going to apologize and just move on and make her happy, and that's it. And I feel like a lot of the guys did that. Jimmy as well. Jimmy and Chelsea, oh my shit show, my God. Well, I saved them for last because you got to save the best for last, am I right? But we get to the homes. We go to Jeramey's home, which is clean AF. Guys, I mean, Laura said it. She said that his apartment looked staged. It looked staged. There was nothing about that place that looked like a home. It literally just looked like an apartment you go view when you're like, oh, this is what your apartment will look like. Like those like pre-made homes or whatever they are, where you like, the apartment's not built yet, but they're like, this is what it'll look like. That's literally what his apartment setup was. There was no like actual theming or sense of life in that place. It was literally like, it just looked staged. Now, she was impressed because she thought that it wasn't really going to be like that clean. Even though he told her, he's like, hey, my place is really clean. She thought it was just going to be like, yeah, okay, it's clean. No, this place was spotless. Like, if you went like this, you wouldn't even see dust. Like, it was that crazy fucking clean. A little bit scary. I think she says, oh, it gives me serial killer vibes. I mean, it's too perfect. If it's so perfect, why is it so perfect? Are you hiding something? If something seems too perfect, someone's lying. I'm just saying. We have them meet Laura's family, which I believe they meet her parents, her brother, and her brother's fiance or wife. I forget which one. I think it's, wife, because it's her sister-in-law. Wow. What a meetup. This family meetup was the strangest thing ever. Now, the parents never talked to Jeramey really on their own. Usually they kind of do that where they're like, okay, I want to talk to this person on their own and kind of figure out what's going on with them. No, we did not have that. But what we did have was two people trying to one up at each other and also like bury them to the ground. Like, oh, well, did you tell them about the love triangle that you're in? Did you tell them about Sarah Ann, about how she messaged you on Instagram? Did you tell them? You should tell them what you did. And then Laura's weird freaking obsession with the fact that he likes Hawaiian shirts. I don't know what the issue is, but she's literally dragging him to filth, being like, he likes Hawaiian shirts and motorcycles. I almost wrote him off. Like, when he was telling me these things in the pods, I literally could not believe that he liked these things.
America, my face is saying everything that you need to know.
Girl, are you serious? Are you serious? It's a Hawaiian shirt. She is dragging him to the filth because he likes Hawaiian shirts. And even his parents are, and especially his mom, is like, oh, wow, like, why are they getting at each other? Like, why are they trying to, like, one-up each other? Why are they digging at each other? Because literally, that's what the meetup was. It was just them just, like, talking shit about each other in a jokingly way to the family. It was very odd. Very odd. This couple is just very odd. Now, granted, let's get into the juice here. Let's get into the juice. Jeramey getting caught in a lie. Yo. Okay, so backstory here. Turns out that Sarah Ann texted or DM'd him and was saying, like, hey, if you're swaying on your connection, let me know because I'd love to have a chat with you. And supposedly he showed it to Laura and was like, hey, I'm a good guy, just so you know, like, she messaged me, I didn't do anything, right? But supposedly he, like, double tapped it, so I guess when you double tap it, you makes it a heart, right? She didn't like that very much. But then we find out, this is how the episode 9 ended, by the way. What a lovely cliffhanger. He basically was out until like 5 a.m. and didn't tell Chelsea like anything. He just like went out with his friends, and then she was like, why didn't you text me? Why didn't you tell me where you were going? Like, I'm so confused. And he's just like, well, I gave you my location. I'm sorry, sir, what?
said, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You think that you giving your location to your fiance is reassurance that everything is okay? Like, why don't you just text her, be like, hey honey, just, I'm out with some friends, it's going long, or whatever. But the fact that you just don't say anything, you just send her, you pin her your location for reassurance. I can't. It's garbage behavior. It's just garbage behavior. But wait, guys, okay. We find out that he was actually hanging out with Sarah Ann. At the end of the day, that's what was going on, and he got caught in a lie with it because he says, oh, my friends or the guys from the pods were there and they told me, hey, Sarah Ann's here. And he was like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't go. But then he's like, you know what? Why not? Like, I should go and talk to her. And then he says that they all go up, they show up there and she's there and she goes up to him and like says, hey, but then walks away. And then he finds it weird. And he's like, oh, that's weird, whatever. He's like, but you know what? Like, I wanted to talk to her because I wanted to, diffuse the situation for the future, just to understand that, like, everything's fine between us, whatever. And then it gets real twisted because he tells Laura that he was in the parking lot the whole time on his location. Turns out he lied, and Laura caught him in the lie because she's like, no, you sent me the location. You didn't think I looked at where you actually were. You were not in the parking lot. He's like, yeah, I was. I was in the alley that's right across from the parking lot or something like that. And she's like, no, you weren't. You were in XYZ, some neighborhood. And he's like, that's where Sarah Ann lives.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
He's just like, he can't even say anything. He was just like full on caught in a lie. Now, what he did with Sarah Ann, that is the question. And it looks like we're going to find out in the next couple of episodes because there was a little bit in the preview. You see Sarah Ann saying to, I think it's the AD. AD is like telling her like, he didn't choose you. He chose Laura. And she says, yeah, well, he told me that he was going to break up with her. I said, oh! This season is wild, y'all. This season is absolutely fucking wild. I cannot with how ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have, if we have one successful marriage, it'll probably be Amy and Johnny. Maybe Clay and AD. Maybe. But these other couples, they ain't going to no aisles. They ain't going to no altars. There are no yeses or no's. No. Absolutely just caught this man in a filth lie. And she just is so upset. She's like, I have nothing to say to you. And just like walks up and the guy like looks at his phone and then like throws his glasses at Jeramey. I mean, does it make for a brilliant TV for us to talk about here? Absolutely. Do I love this drama that, Love is Blind has concocted? Yes. But my God, the garbage behavior. It is actually laughable at how bad the garbage behavior is this season. Like, wow. Wild. Absolutely wild. Let me know what you thought in the comment below with that whole little revelation with Jeramey. Why do people always see like, oh, they're going to make it such good guys, such good people? I don't see really bad flag. Put in the real world. Like horrible. There's red flags galore. Red flag galore. So let's move on into our fourth couple, which is Clay and AD, which is another couple that I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about them. Like, I don't know if I want them to not get married because Clay is clearly not ready for it, or do I want them because I actually want them to succeed. Like, I don't know what I want. I really don't know what I want with this couple. But in DR, they are still, really much attracted to each other. I did notice there were some moments where AD kind of got the ick, and it was when they were eating at the little restaurant by the water. When he was eating the soup, and she's just like, because this guy is like slurping and like eating the soup like it is the last soup he will ever eat. And it's funny because right before this moment, he's talking about how he really wants the soup, but he is so into it that she's literally like it looks like she's getting the ick of him eating it. And then like the way it's produced and edited, because my God, Love is Blind. You know what y'all are doing. He starts like cleaning up the table, and granted, to me, like, I always do that. I think that's like just nice for the server just to like clean it up. He's eating it up, blah blah blah. He's putting everything on top of each other, but not talking to her the whole time. And you're just watching her watch him do everything, and she's just like, And then out of nowhere, he just says like, oh, I just want to look at the ocean. I just want to look at the ocean. Clearly saying that he just doesn't want to talk. And then out of nowhere just starts like spilling his guts about how he's scared he's going to cheat, pretty much. And she's like, you're scared you're going to cheat? And she's just like, yeah, like my dad, oh, that's not when he talks about it then. He talks about it later, but we can go into that. Basically, when we later on find out that his dad and his mom were in like a 30-year relationship, and then his dad started to cheat on his mom, and it became like a normal thing, and supposedly he was like taken on like infidelity dates with his dad. I was like, oh my god, no wonder you're effed up about like women and being a player. I mean, it seems like his dad is very much kind of, I think, what he fears he's going to become, because he does talk about how his dad is a ladies' man. He's always been a good talker and good with the women, and that's how Clay is. And even though, and a lot of people have been talking about how Clay like is, you know, proclaiming that he's a reformed man, and I'm like, okay, 24 hours ago you were like, oh my god, I'm all about the looks, and then the next day you were like, AD, you changed me, I want to marry you. It's kind of like, wait, whoa, what's this? Like, you wouldn't become a changed man that quick. Like, that's just not how it happens. But it's like he's trying to like talk himself into being a reformed man without actually have done the work and actually spend some time actually reforming. But, you know, he just tells her that that's why he has issues, is because, you know, his dad and what he saw growing up and things like that. And that's understandable. But we do see his home. He's got a really nice house. We find out he's an entrepreneur. I'm really curious. Does anyone know what he does? If you know, comment down below. Let's talk about it, because I don't know what he does. But that becomes a very big topic in the conversation of leading up to we meet his mom and his sister. And it's very odd, again, because I feel like these couples are having these like, they're just like spilling out their problems in front of their families. I'm like, guys, this is something you don't talk about right now. Like, you talk about this in private, not in front of your family, when this is the first time that they're meeting your significant other. Like, it's just the worst timing. Why you're doing this now, I do not understand. Like, I literally do not understand. But they get into this conversation because AD tells him like, hey, you're never home. You're always working. And I understand that because you have a business, and it's not that I don't want you to work, but I think you need to balance it better, because basically he's like leaving her alone a lot, and she's not getting that like validation from him, or getting that love, or getting that connection. Because it seems that I guess quality time is important to her, and he's just always working, which granted, when you have your own business, that is difficult. I don't know what his business is, but it seems like he has to go and set things up a lot, so I don't know. But he kind of trying to make it seem that it's more like her issue, kind of like a Kenneth type of situation, where it's just like I need to work, so you need to figure it out, like basically saying. And then I'm like, I didn't like the way he was kind of approaching the situation. And then it was just awkward because they're kind of having this full-on argument with the mom and the sister there, and they're both like, should we be here? Ooh, like, should we be? I don't know. Like, should I be here for this conversation? I don't know. Like awkward like that, you know? So I didn't like the way he kind of took approach to it, but his mom is pretty much saying like, hey, you both have difficult schedules, but if you love each other, you will make it work, and it's all about balance. And I'm like, yeah, that is what it is. It's just about balance. Like, she's not saying that you shouldn't work. She's just saying that you need to prioritize at least sometimes to spend more time together. And he says like, well, isn't it enough? He says, what does he say? Sit down and watch TV together or something like that. And she says no. And he's like, why not? Or something like that. And it was just awkward. And I think that that's something that they really need to discuss. But also the main thing also seems to be that he has a fear that he's going to cheat, and that seems like it's going to be a thread for the next couple of episodes, because he keeps saying, I'm scared I'm going to cheat. I'm scared I'm going to cheat. I don't know if I could be with one woman my whole time. And I'm like, I think he really fears, I think, becoming his father at the end of it. I think that's a big, big thing. So we will see. Like I said, I think Clay and AD are that couple that I'm still not sure if they're going to make it. But if they do make it, I hope that they could work it out. But we shall see. All right, guys, let's save the best for last. Jimmy and Chelsea, because my God, now this couple's a shit show. Like, Oh my God, it's so crazy, y'all. It's so crazy. So last time we saw Jimmy and Chelsea, Chelsea was pouring her heart out to him and saying that she feels that he doesn't love her and that he's that he shouldn't have acted the way he did with AD and didn't look at her feelings and all this stuff. We go on to the next morning and they're in DR and they pretty much have this like brushy like, okay, we're gonna brush it under the rug kind of moment, right? Where he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And, you know, I'm going to make an effort to listen more and to understand where you're coming from more. And I'm sorry I act like that. Just, again, just brushing the real issues under the rug, which, again, will pop up many times again throughout these 3 episodes. But that's pretty much what they do in DR is they kind of like brush it under the rug. And, y'all, what I think this couple, why they're actually kind of insane in a way is because whenever they're with the people from the pods or their friends, in a way, they're hyping this relationship up like they are perfect. We are the best couple out there. Remember, Jimmy said that in the last episode. He was just like, oh, I bet all of you guys that we have the best relationship here. You do?
You serious?
Then why is Chelsea always asking you if you love her? Why is Chelsea always saying, like, why didn't you kiss me today? I'm sorry, what? You guys have a perfect relationship. And her too, she's like saying like, oh, he's so communicative. He's so good in bed. Oh, he's so perfect. Oh, we're perfect together. We fix everything. And then when they're alone together, they're just like fighting about the same thing over and over again, which is why he doesn't love her. Yo, but why are you projecting this? Why do you have to lie to people? Why? Why? It's actually astonishing to see them talk to other people. Oh yeah, no, we're perfect for each other. She's perfect. They communicate everything I want. He loves me for me. And then 5 minutes later being like, you're clingy. Or, you didn't even kiss me today. I'm sorry, what? Again, I'm sorry, what? I mean, we have to just laugh at watching. It's like actually crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But then talking about friends, we meet her friends first, and she kind of starts off talking to them saying that everything's perfect, guys. He is everything I wanted. I was in a love triangle, and I loved Trevor, but something about Jimmy was it. And then it turns into like 3 minutes later being like, yeah, but I worry because like, you know, he didn't even tell me, like, he hasn't kissed me once today. Everybody's like, oh my God. I know he's working, but like, I don't know. And then the moment Jimmy comes down to meet him, everything is like, oh my God, honey, I love you. You're the best. Oh, you're the best.
Again. A fucking again.
Why are we fronting? Why are we putting on face? Oh my God. Because they're acting like this freaking perfect ass couple in front of everyone, and then it's kind of like social media, right? You think people are really perfect, and then you meet them in real life, or you find out real dish outside of social media, and you're like, oh damn, like you guys are not good at all. Like, this is all front. Literally, they would be one of those couples that posts every Valentine's Day. Oh my God, I'm so glad I met you on Love is Blind. You're the love of my life. You do everything. And then at home, she's like, what the fuck? You never cook for me. You never do anything for me. Like, that's literally the couple I see. It's bad. So they actually have this crazy fight in the kitchen. Let's talk about this fight, y'all. This fight is like, to me, is like a... who can be worse in the situation? Because, like, at first, I really felt for Jimmy. I'm not going to lie. Don't come for me. But I really did feel for Jimmy a little bit. Because I can see how Chelsea's insecurities can be too much for him. Like, because she wants someone that is, or not wants someone, but it's just not working with him. And she's kind of, like, forcing it. That the fact that it says, like, you didn't kiss me today. You didn't tell me you loved me today. You didn't do this for me today. You like, I want you to do this. Why aren't you doing this? Why don't you love me? And then he's kind of like, I did kiss you. I kissed you twice in the bathroom. I kissed you here. I told you I loved you. I do love you. Like, what else? Like, he's literally like, what else do you want from me? He is literally telling her, like, what else can I do? He's like, I made you dinner. Oh, you made me dinner? What? Like, Yo, and then she's just like, I don't understand. Like, do you want me to like not like be around you or do things for you? And he's just like, okay, I will be honest with you. You're a little clingy.
Hey, why can't anybody give me a goddamn second?
When he called her clingy, my mouth was. I laugh about it now because I'm like, I just can't believe it. But my mouth dropped. I was just like, Jimmy. Damn, you went for her throat just now. You went for her throat. It's like, what else could you possibly do to really just be like, just push her over the edge? Because the moment he called her clingy, she lost it. She's like, how could you say that? That is so rude. That is so disrespectful. It's so mean. I stayed on this couch and I watched your favorite TV show, and then we had sex after, and you're telling me that I'm too clingy? And he's just like, well, yeah, I would like a breather from the sex. Jimmy, choose your words. Jimmy, choose your words correctly, sir. Those were not the words. They were not the words. I think the issue was that she pushed him so hard that it pushed him to say things that were like probably what he really thought, but he just didn't want to say it. But because she was pushing his button so much, he was like, okay, fine, stay away from me. You're clingy and I don't want to have sex with you. I have to laugh at the garbage behavior because this, like I said in the beginning of this episode, this season is absolutely wild. Like, absolutely wild. I could not believe it. But then get this, then the next morning they wake up. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, that night he ends up leaving because like they just don't resolve the issue. Of course not, because they're just gonna put it under the rug. And he is like, okay, I'm just gonna go, and he leaves. I guess goes and stays in his apartment or something. And then the next morning they were talking on the bed, and she's just like, I didn't like that you left. Like, you shouldn't do that. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, I only left because you said you were gonna leave. And she's like, yeah, no, but I wasn't, or something like that. And then they talk about how like, oh, like we need to be better. Like I need to work better on my, emotional self, all this stuff. And I'm like, girl, you need to go to therapy. You need to work on yourself. And that is fine. We're all working to be better people. But you cannot be on this show right now. Like I hate to say it. And like, I know she's talked about it on TikTok, and she's come out to talk about that she knows that she does have a lot to work on with her insecurities. And I'm not here to drag her even more on that because I know everyone has. But at the end of the day, she is very insecure, and that's not a good thing to have, especially on a TV show, because producers are going to pick up on that so quick. They're going to be like, what can we do? But what can we do to make these insecurities even come out more and make wonderful TV? What can we do? Remember, that's what I think about producers. They're just like these evil beings behind a curtain that are wondering what they can do, right? So, speaking of the producers being evil, and I think it was, oh my God, who was it? Oh, the Mom and Dad, Your Mom and Dad podcast, Jess and Evan. Cheers to you guys. I love you guys. I think Jess brings up this idea that the producers definitely are like messing with Chelsea, because what they did, which I thought was kind of weird, is she meets his friends, and his friends end up being these two gorgeous girls, who I loved, by the way. They seemed like the sweetest girls. And I'm like, does he not have guy friends? Or does he, like, this is weird. Like, but okay. I mean, it's totally fine for guys to have girlfriends. Like, that's okay. But then we find out that the reason that Chelsea says, like, oh, because I think the friends ask, like, oh, how do you feel about Jimmy having girls as best friends? And she's just like, well, at first, I did have a lot of issues with it because I've had a lot of ex-girlfriends who have cheated on me with their girl best friends. And I said, producers. And Jess also brought this up on Your Mom and Dad podcast, which is why I brought it up. And she said the same thing I was thinking, was it's like, oh, these producers, these producers knew that it would trigger her if he came with two girls that were best friends, because she's been in situations when the girls have cheated on with her boyfriend. And I'm like, oh wow, y'all are rude. Good TV, but y'all. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy has friends, but they were like, no, bring your girlfriends. Like, it'll be nicer for her. Yeah, knowing that she was going to probably start getting insecure about the fact that he has two girls that are best friends. Oh, producers, don't lie to me. I'm pretty sure y'all freaking set that up on purpose. Like, I'm pretty sure you set that up on purpose. Absolutely. Like, I'm like, it just sounds like a producer thing to do. Like, producer. My God, it was wild. It's just a wild. Like, this episode is wild. And then the last thing I want to talk about, because we've covered all of the couples now. Let me know also what you thought about the Jimmy and Chelsea, the clingy comment, because my God. Like I said, my God. Then one last quick little recap I want to do is Jessica meeting up with Laura. Now, this situation, again, I didn't like the behavior from any of them, right? And I think it was someone else who was watching. Oh, Nicole James, who I watch, who does wonderful recaps, by the way. Love her. She was talking about how in this moment with Laura and Jess, which at first I missed it. And when I listened to her talk about the recap, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Or, oh my God, like, why did I pick up on that? And it's so true. So you have Laura and Jess talking, and Jessica's like, she did this whole speech leaving being like, oh, like, you know what? You don't want to choose me. You're going to regret it. But then after the pod, she's still like, oh, well, maybe, I still want to meet him. And I'm like, girl, no. You dumped him. You said you you said you didn't want to deal with someone like that. Then why are you going to engage in this foolish behavior? Why? Because you're on TV. And two, because it's kind of like becoming a competition now. Like, oh, let me see if I can get this guy, And now it's just more of like a chase thing instead of it being like a real thing. Because now it's like you're in the real world. You both know what you look like. The experiment is now no longer a thing. And the fact that she's still kind of being like, oh yeah, like giving homewrecker vibes, not a fan. I do not deal with homewrecker, and she is giving homewrecker behavior, and it's not necessary. Because even though at the end of the day, Chelsea and Jimmy will not work out, like, it's just not going to work out. I hope to God it just cannot work out. You shouldn't be talking like this about somebody's engaged person, right? Like, it's just rude. And then this is what Nicole was talking about that I got, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so fucked up. You have Laura, who's talking to her, being like, oh my God, like, how could Sarah Ann, like, text Jeramey and say all these things? Like, that is inappropriate. That is wrong. Girl, what are you telling Jessica to do? You're literally being like, hey, so do you want to meet him? I'm pretty sure he wants to meet you. And, like, egging her on, like, yeah, like, I bet you can get him. Or something. Like, it's like, girl, you are just talking about how it's rude that Sarah Ann is talking to your guy, but yet you're telling Jessica that she should meet Jimmy, who is now engaged to another woman who he chose.
This whole class is gonna feel my wrath.
Again, I'm sorry, what? Man, like, no. Like, oh my God. It just icked me to no extreme. I think there's like almost nobody I like on the season except for AD, Amy. I really liked Brittany. I think those are the only people I like. But Laura and Jeramey, don't like them. Jimmy and Chelsea, don't like them. Kenneth, don't like you. Clay, tippy toes, but I think it's because he's so charismatic that he kind of gets away with it. But if he wasn't charismatic, we would be dragging him. We would all be dragging him to filth if he wasn't as charismatic as he was. And I think with Clay, I think he really does want to try to change, but he does have some shitty qualities and some shitty comments that he has done. And I feel like because he's so charismatic, we don't drag him to filth as much as we should. But anyway, that's just this is my thoughts right now. So I don't know. I just thought that behavior was just all around lots of garbage behavior in these last 3 episodes. Anyway, y'all, that is the end of this recap. Wow. Like I said, garbage behavior this season. This season is wild. I think I'm just going to title this episode "This Season is Wild" because it absolutely is. Oh man. But anyway, guys, if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps me, helps out this channel, and helps it grow. And if you're not already subscribed and I brought you some value today and you want to continue to see my videos and my absolutely crazy, what did you say? I'm sorry, what? Reactions, please click that notification bell so you'll know the next time that I post a video. And if not, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Why aren't you subscribing? I'm kidding, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Absolutely garbage behavior. Garbage behavior. I think it's just gonna be Amy and Johnny. I really think. Yep.